Control, oftentimes, is the fear of not being able to hold the boundaries yourself. If you are able to hold the boundaries yourself and know what is okay and what is not okay in your experience, then you can start to release control, let go, and go with the flow. There is also an element there of trusting in your guides, in the divine, in the universe. And they're saying to me that the trust in the divine starts with the trust within you, because you are the divine.
Welcome to the Akashic Recordings. My name is Annette Deleu. I'm an Akashic conduit, channel, and spiritual guidance coach. What you will be hearing today is a real session with one of my clients. All the names have been changed for privacy, and of course, with their permission, we are privileged to hear these beautiful stories to allow us a small glimpse into the Akashic Records. If you would like to book a session with me and be part of the podcast, please feel free to head to my website at infinitesoullove.com. When you book your session, just make sure to check the box that you would be interested in having your session utilized for the podcast.
If you've been wanting to learn how to connect more deeply with your intuition and the Akashic Records, I'm happy to share that registration is now open for the next session of Soul Discovery Workshop. In this workshop, you'll learn how to connect with your higher self, your angels, and your guides. You'll be guided through shadow work to help integrate fears and move through the blocks that can cloud intuitive connection. You'll also have the opportunity to practice your psychic and intuitive gifts with others in a supportive space, so you can build the confidence to recognize when a message is truly coming through or when it's simply a thought or some of your fears. We'll focus on honing your discernment and understanding how your messages come in, because everyone receives intuitive information differently. Everyone has these gifts. This workshop is about remembering yours. If this experience has been calling you, you can register now by visiting infinitesoullove.com. I would love to welcome you into the Soul Discovery Workshop. Today's session is with Cynthia. She was really curious about the masculine energies in her life. Her ex-husband, her current husband, and her father. We go into each one of these relationships to identify what the similarities are in the roles that they play, and also what the vast differences are and why they are in her life. We take a look at the soul contracts between her and her father, as well as her ex-husband. And we talk about when you clear soul contracts and how you can clear them, as well as clear the energy of them. And what is the difference between clearing a soul contract, but then still having the energy semi-active in your field. In addition, we address her feeling of being stuck and lost, and not really knowing exactly where to go next. Sometimes that is a time to push through, and sometimes we need to just sit back and allow the universe to guide us. In the discussion portion, I will talk about this concept and how to know when to push forward and when to allow the universe to guide you. In addition, we talk about the timing of readings. Cynthia really wanted to get this reading on her 50th birthday, and then for whatever reason just didn't book the session until much, much later. And I really do believe that that was her intuition telling her that it was not the right time. Timing can be everything when it comes to these types of readings. And I will show you how you can follow your intuition to know when the timing is right. Okay, so do you know what you would like to speak about today?
There's so many things.
It's okay.
It's funny, I started to write a list and it's like 2 pages long. I tried to have themes. So generally my themes, my life purpose, because I'm feeling a bit lost, always have felt a bit lost. So life purpose, I'm keen to investigate. I have a difficulty surrendering and speaking my truth and being authentic outwardly. So that I want to sort of investigate where that comes from, and is that a past life thing? You know, did I make an agreement way back to hide myself, I guess? And that kind of gets into the spiritual side too. I have difficulty connecting with my guides, but I can ground myself really well. Like if I do a meditation going up and down, I can put myself into the earth and get that energy quite easily. But going up and out to spirit is more difficult. So I feel like I'm a bit blocked. And the other main one was the relationships, particularly with the three main men in my life, which are my dad, my first husband, and my now husband, and what patterns are there and how those three relationships have informed the lessons I'm meant to learn. Or is there karmic destiny or contracts with those people? That's generally it. I mean, there's tons more. I'm also open just to hearing what I need to hear.
And oftentimes you will find that with the guidance of what they show us, a lot of the questions that you have asked that you haven't really told me yet that are just on your sheets will likely get answered.
Right.
As you said, they're always this sort of beautiful tapestry of all of the different things that kind of come together. And usually all of the things are related in some form or another. We'll just sort of let the guides tell us where we need to go. And then at certain points, you can certainly interject certain questions if they seem relevant at the time. And we can just kind of go with the flow from there.
Fantastic. And I have to say, I'm very excited to meet you. I've been following you on the podcast for, a few years now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and it's been really great. And I love the recordings. That's amazing. And I actually I wanted to have this reading almost 18 months ago when I turned 50 in April last year. I thought, what a great thing. Turn 50, bit of a milestone. Something in me just didn't book it. And then 2 weeks ago, I went, oh, I'll just book that. And I just did it. I thought, okay, well, it's obviously time to do it.
It's obviously the right time. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing is that you have to follow your inner compass. We set those intentions of milestones for certain times. So like you said, for your birthday, you're like, oh, I'm going to do it for my birthday. But that's a 3-dimensional milestone that we have that we're like, yeah, that seems like a good time. When in reality, the universe and your guides are like, nope, not the right time. And you felt that. So that's really great that you followed your intuition. One thing I want to ask you regarding the questions that you had, when you were talking about how you don't necessarily show up in your authentic self, there was something that sort of came through immediately and I wanted to confirm it. Do you feel a little bit like a chameleon, like you turn into whoever you're holding your space for? So like friendships, relationships, whatever it is, that you sort of chameleon into who they are?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because that was something that came in really quickly. And I'm seeing that you have done quite a lot of work throughout the course of this particular lifetime, that you have essentially been melting off some of the old energy from past lifetimes. And the way that I'm seeing it is almost like it's a candle that has been melted all the way down to the base. And maybe in the wax, there's still some black ash and things like that, but that is from the previous lifetimes. And it's sort of creating this ability to see through the cracks. So you're able to now see where your lessons were in terms of your safety, your security, your stability, your feelings of home within self, and you're identifying them. So it's like now the wax has been burned all the way down and there's nothing left there to hide, essentially. And what they're saying is that it creates this ability to start again, to start anew, even while seeing the remnants of the rest of the previous lifetimes are still there. You recognize why you had to go through what you had to go through. Okay. Even though you have cleared it for the most part in this lifetime, they're saying for context, it'll actually help you to move through it more quickly and start anew more quickly if you know what happened in this previous life. So that will be something that we will connect to. I find it really interesting. This is the first time they've given me this analogy that I am seeing candles as an analogy. Yeah, I'm seeing a really beautiful energy in your sacral chakra. I'm seeing both sides of the chakra, both front and back, so to speak, like the way that the light shines is beautiful and brilliant in both directions. So yeah, there's nothing from a past life that you need to clear here. Yeah, your sacral chakra is having to do with your divine feminine energy, your manifestation energy. Okay. Yeah, and they're saying that this is having to do with the imbalance because the sacral chakra it's functioning beautifully because it's your divine feminine energy. Divine feminine is the creator not the action taker. It's not surprising that you morph into other people. And they're saying, okay, move on to the solar plexus chakra so we can see how that's affecting it as well. Okay, that makes sense. The solar plexus chakra is almost turning in on itself, almost like it's like a vortex. What is the energy, angels, of that in terms of how it's affecting her personal power and how she feels about herself? The way that we are depicting the solar plexus chakra has to do with how she has been operating from a place of lack of self-empowerment. She's been operating from this void that we are showing you, this vortex, so to speak. And this void has been created through many, many lifetimes. It's not just one lifetime. It has been created over the course of many. And this is something we will address today. Okay. Yeah. Because they're saying your divine feminine energy and that feeling of attracting things to you has no discernment if it is not connected to a strong solar plexus chakra. So if your solar plexus isn't strong, your sense of discernment, your sense of self-worth and how you feel about yourself in the world, if that is not connected, then essentially you're attracting in all kinds of energies, and some of it's good and some of it's not. Some of it is stuff that you want and some of it isn't. It's kind of like a catch-all of all energies. Once we start to clear your solar plexus chakra, it'll help you to understand very clearly what needs to be deflected or moved through. Yeah. Okay. This will also help you know what is yours. What is your energy to move through or your energy to move forward in, as opposed to anyone else's that you're picking up on. Yeah. And I'm seeing that is part of the reason why you're having a hard time with your intuition sometimes, is because you're letting in so many different energies that you start feeling something. You're like, okay, cool. I'm going to work on that. And spirit is like, no, that's not yours. Like, that's not yours to work on. That's somebody else's. Yeah. You don't have to work on that. And even though you are starting to work on it, they're like, no, you don't have to work on that. That's not your job.
It explains why I have trouble finishing things.
Yeah, because you might be starting things that are just not yours to even start to begin with.
Interesting. That's funny. Because I love to learn and I love to read and I love to find out things. I love thirst for knowledge. And then I'll read and then do nothing with it.
Okay, so that's something different than what we're talking about. That is something that is necessary on this journey in terms of getting all the information, researching all the things. And then there is an integration period. And then what ends up happening is that our soul naturally kind of filters out the stuff that we don't need to know. Mm-hmm. And then the things that we are meant to move forward in, those are the things that start to amplify or start to become more prevalent in our experience. Yeah. And not everything that we research and that we sort of go into is going to be the thing that we end up excelling at.
So far, none of those have been the thing.
And that's okay, because oftentimes what happens is that you gather information, gather. And until you're reaching a point of getting the whole picture, the thing, whatever it is, doesn't really become visible until you have the whole story.
Right.
So your story is still unfolding at the moment. There's not anything to worry about. You will kind of come into that aha moment, if you will, of, oh, this is where I'm meant to be. Okay.
Right. Okay.
I can tell you this with quite a lot of confidence in the sense that I went through it personally myself. Before I was doing the records, I dabbled in a bunch of different things and none of it really felt like the thing. It just was like that exploration, like, oh, maybe I'll do Reiki, maybe I'll do tarot, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. Mm-hmm. And it all was good and it was part of my learning, but it didn't feel like it was the thing I was meant to do.
Yeah.
And then even when my guides told me what I was going to be doing, I was like, I don't think I want to do that. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Even then, it took a long time for me to gather the energy that I needed and the shadow work that needed to be done in order to uncover what it was that I was meant to do. I'm going to tell you not to worry, that it will become clear to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So then let's move that energy into the heart space. Your heart is sort of split in two right now, and this does have to do with a past life. The right side of your heart is green and lush and beautiful, and the light is gorgeous. They're showing me like the light that you see on flowers as the sun is rising on a crisp morning. And then on the other side, it's black, 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 black. It's just like almost a void of a heart there. And the stark contrast has to do with this past life. Once we uncover this past life, the rest of the heart will start to move into that beautiful energy that's on the right side as well. It's just the past life that we're going to look at is having a significant effect. Angels, does the side of the heart, does it speak to something? It does. It is inherently specific regarding the divine masculine, divine feminine energies. Okay. Yeah. One of the things that I'm starting to ask actually is about the men in your life. Okay. Yeah. Huh. Because of what we're seeing here in the heart chakra, and then also with what we saw in the sacral and the solar plexus, it all kind of tells a bigger story. Yeah, that's interesting. You have no blockages in your crown chakra. Everything is super wide open. The reason why you're having a hard time getting the messages is just because your guides and the universe are kind of holding back on the messages due to the solar plexus and the heart chakra issues from the past lives. Once we clear those and start working towards the energy that you want to be in, then those messages will start coming in more clearer and they'll start giving you more information. Because the problem is that when you have blockages in certain chakras, if you get all these downloads and messages from the universe, it can be a bottleneck and it can create problems within the physical body. They're being very gentle with you right now with the messages because of that. And as we move through each of the healings of these chakras, it will start to heal in the physical, and then you will have like a perfect channel for the information to start coming through.
Right.
So your third eye is relatively closed, and that is something that makes sense given the fact that you're not in a place right now where you want to see everything because of the shadow work that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Because if you were to see, you would see the shadow as well. And that is not something that is necessarily desirable to see unless it's necessary. And for you, it's not necessary. Like, you don't need to see other people's shadows or other energies or entities that are out there. Like, you're dealing with enough within yourself to have to want to deal with like everybody else's stuff. Your third eye is closed, but it's sleepy. It's like, it's just kind of opening its eye just a little bit. Like, is it safe to come out? No. Okay. I'm going back to sleep. So in other words, it's not a blockage. It's not like it's going to take a lot for it to open. It's just a matter of time.
Right. Right.
Is this from a past life? No, this is as a result of the other chakras. That's what I thought. Okay. So your throat chakra, it just looks like a little bit of a darker blue than usual. And that just says to me that you're holding back on your voice. You're not speaking the things that you want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it has to do with all of the other things that we're going to kind of address. And once those things are addressed, then you're going to be able to speak more clearly. I would like to thank Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for guiding us through the records today. Today, we are opening up the records. Great. Thank you. Okay. So of all of the things that we need to cover today, where do we need to go first? Okay. So we're going to go heart chakra, solar plexus, soul purpose. Okay. Got it. All right. So let's take a look at the past life that we need to look at regarding the heart chakra, please. This has to do with one of the men in your life. Okay. Let's take a look at this lifetime that she has had with her ex-husband as it pertains to this heart chakra blockage. They're saying 3 and 4 lifetimes ago. So we're looking at 2 lifetimes. It's a continuation. Okay. I want to make note that I'm getting in the messages a little differently. I'm getting them like clairaudiently. And I'm feeling like that's significant for you for some reason. Maybe clairaudience is one of your more dominant clairs.
Okay. If you say so. I don't have any clairs.
We all have all of them. It's just a matter of which ones are more dominant. And the fact that I'm hearing things right now, it indicates that that is probably one of the ones that you will develop first. I'll explain that in a little bit. But yeah, I think there's always a reason why they give me the messages the way that they do. Mm-hmm. It's always like an indication there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. In the first lifetime, they're saying that you had married this man who is your ex-husband in this lifetime, and you had quite a harmonious marriage at the time. It was something that was soul-led. You had signed up for that experience in that lifetime. You had really wanted to be together. It was a new soul to you in that particular lifetime. You had never incarnated before together, but it was a complementary energy to yours. I'm seeing that you did everything together. It was the type of relationship where you would finish each other's sentences, where you would operate as if you were one being. I'm seeing you having tea or coffee, and it's just a very perfectly orchestrated event where you knew how much sugar he took. He knew how hot you liked it. You're not even speaking and you're just doing the motions of what you know the other loves. And it's an expression of love that is beautiful. And I'm hearing and painful at the same time. Why was this painful for them? Because they knew it was going to be ripped away at some point. Okay. And that was part of the lesson. Yes. Okay. So the lesson they had signed up for was to have this harmonious connection and then to lose it. Yes. Okay. What were they meant to learn from that? We will discuss that at a later time. We want to give you more information about this lifetime. Okay. You had a child, baby girl. I'm hearing she was the light of your life. She looked just like you. In this particular lifetime, you had sort of like blondish brown hair. So very light hair. And your daughter had the same. She's got a lot of curls. You're feeling just absolutely content and joyous. I'm seeing your husband is sort of detaching himself from you just ever so slightly. Like once you had the little girl, I see him saying like, oh, I'll leave you to it. There was a bit of disconnection there after the child was born. There was a bit of a jealousy there. He was jealous of your connection with your daughter. You kept on trying to get him to be involved and to have that same like synchronicity that you always had together. But it's like he almost resented your daughter for being the light of your life. And it was something as simple as he could have connected. He could have connected to the both of you. And had he done that, that synchronicity would have continued for a time. Okay. So this was a lesson for both of you in how to handle outside influences. Okay. So if you can imagine like a well-oiled machine, that's what you both were before you had your child. And then ultimately the child like kind of threw a wrench in the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And so it's not about resenting the extra energy that is coming in. It's about how to rebuild the clock to operate with this new part, with this new piece of the clock. Instead of readjusting, your husband basically removed himself from the situation. Mm-hmm. It was also the period of time as well, because it was very known that like men don't really get involved in the child's life. It's more the mother and that kind of thing. So society had a little bit to do with it as well. The relationship did eventually go sour. And it was because he was spending a lot of time with the boys in smoking rooms, gambling. He was hurt. He missed you. He loved you. And he could not deal with losing you to this child. And he hated himself for resenting his own child. And no matter what you did, nothing really brought him back. Like you tried to reenact some of the synchronicities that you had in the past and it just didn't work. He wasn't open to it. But this was exactly what was meant to happen. This beautiful connection that you had was meant to change and shift for the sake of you as well as his growth. And he did have an opportunity to repair it. He had many opportunities to repair it and he never did. He just fell deeper and deeper into the hole. You only ever did have the one child. And when she was old enough to marry and she left the house, you found yourself very much alone. He was virtually never home anymore. I'm hearing that he came home maybe once a week. You had grown so far apart and the damage so complete that it was almost impossible for you to find that love within your hearts for each other again. You felt helpless. You felt like you couldn't do anything. And some of this has to do with the masculine side for you, because had you spoken up, you may have been able to get him to at least tell you what was going on. But you didn't speak up. You didn't say, I miss you. What is going on? Why are you disconnecting from our family? Like you didn't take that action. You just let him do whatever he was going to do. If he was like, all right, bye, I'm leaving. You're like, okay, have a great time, honey. You know, like it wasn't like you never expressed to him how lonely and how sad you were. Mm-hmm. And because you didn't express it, he thought you just didn't care.
Right. I was going to say very much like the relationship in this life.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah, that's not surprising.
I never spoke up about my feelings, and that was part of the reason that it ended.
Yeah. Because the thing is that the other person can absolutely feel what's going on energetically. But if you're not voicing it, they can't do anything about it. They can't address it.
Yeah.
They can't tell you how they're feeling. There's not that ability to create that energy that is coming to the center of whatever the issue happens to be.
And similarly, he wouldn't, well, I didn't think he would ever be open to it because he was too busy self-medicating and escaping from life. So he wouldn't have heard me anyway.
Yeah. So he did die before you in this particular lifetime. And I'm seeing that it was like, oh, all right. Not like it's any different than every other day because he was never around. So like you kind of were like, all right, nothing really changes in my world. And you had grown so tired and disappointed at how things went versus how they began that you just didn't even have it in you to really even mourn him. It was like, I'm just so tired. I just can't even deal with it.
Yeah. Funny. That happened again.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
He's passed on now.
He is last year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. We had been divorced for 16 years though.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. So then let's take a look at the next lifetime. So you did try to incarnate again. Was it a similar lesson that they were trying to learn from each other? No, it was a slightly different lesson. They decided that they were going to do something a little less extreme in this next lifetime. Okay. So in the next lifetime, you were brother and sister. You both felt that maybe as brother and sister, you would have less expectations of each other. But there's more that familial bond. So it's sort of like a built-in bond, but that you wouldn't necessarily have as many expectations of each other. And you were really close in the very beginning of your childhoods. You were only about a year apart. And I'm seeing you talk to him and saying to him, like, you know, I really want to be this or I want to do that. Like you're dreaming and creating and saying all of the things that you would love to be when you grow up. And he's encouraging you and he's saying, yes, you can do all of those things. And you're like, yeah, but I'm a girl. Like, how am I going to do all these things when society tells me I can't? And he's like lifting you up and saying, you can absolutely do whatever you put your heart to. Like, I know you can. He's being really supportive and you're being very vulnerable with each other and you're very open with each other. And this is something you didn't necessarily have in the first lifetime together. You had that synchronicity and that feeling of just always knowing each other, but then you didn't have that vulnerability of speaking. This created something that was really unique in this particular lifetime between the two of you. And this resentment went the other way. As you got older, you started resenting him because he was telling you you could do anything you wanted. He's like, I believe in you. I know you can do whatever you want. And the world and society just kept on telling you, no, 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 no. And so you resented him for giving you so much hope that you could do whatever you wanted. And it was absolutely not the case. Like you hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. But the interesting thing is that you blamed him. But the real problem was your own limiting beliefs of what you could do. Right. Now, granted, that was definitely reinforced by society, but it was something he was trying to give you. He was trying to give you that feeling of you can do anything. And the first few times that you had the door slammed in your face, you started reiterating that story. I'm seeing you wanted to be a writer. And every time you wanted to write something, people would laugh at you. People would slam the door in your face. And your brother is saying, I love your stories. Your stories are amazing. They're beautiful and they're energetic and creative and different. And it kind of became this situation where, you know, when your parents tell you they love you and how beautiful you are, and you're like, yeah, whatever, you have to say that, you're my parents. You know, like it's kind of that energy. And so you kind of felt like that about him. You're like, yeah, you have to say that, you're my brother. But like, I don't believe that I'm talented and I don't think that I can do this. It really hurt him to see you struggle like that. And he wanted to help you in every way possible, but he felt helpless to do so. It's interesting because the more you kind of got the door slammed in your face, the more furiously you wrote. I'm seeing you write and write and write, but like fast. You're pressing so hard on the paper, like you're breaking your quill tips. And it's interesting because this also has to do with that distorted energy that you were in regarding how you felt about yourself. Yeah. Okay. Does this have anything to do with the solar plexus issue that we're looking at? It's one of them. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. They're saying it's a big theme with the solar plexus. The reason why it's got that sort of vortex in it is like you've had a lot of experiences over a lot of different lifetimes where each time you try to do something, the door slams in your face. You've had so many doors slammed in your face that you're like, there's nowhere left to go. I'm completely trapped. I'm trapped in what I'm doing. Like I have no other options. So feeling helpless, having no options, having no direction of where to go is like one of the worst feelings that you can feel because you don't see a way out. You don't see how to move through the challenges that are being presented to you. That's part of the lesson as well, is because sometimes when doors are closed, that's a universe's gentle way of saying to you, like, not in that direction. You have to go in a different direction. And sometimes the closed doors are meant to be broken open. And the problem is you did not know the difference between the two. And so you just took every closed door as like, okay, it's a closed door. I guess I can't go through that one. When in fact, maybe there were a couple that you could have really stood your ground and pushed through. If you were assertive, then you may have been able to be successful. All right, so then let's take a look at the lifetime that they had together in this lifetime and how it pertains to the lifetimes that we were just looking at and the reason they incarnated together. So the lesson he was trying to teach you in this lifetime is he was trying to almost force you to know your self-worth. He was trying to give you contrasting experiences so you finally stand up for yourself and you finally break through and say, you know what, that's it. That's enough. I have to stand up for myself. The piece that didn't come to fruition was the communication piece.
Right.
It's interesting because had you spoken from your heart and what you were truly feeling, weirdly enough, the marriage might have ended sooner.
I think so too.
But things had to continually get progressively worse so you would finally do something.
Right.
And I'm hearing that you did finally do something, but you never did really fully express everything that you wanted to express.
No, it was very much a handbrake stop.
Yeah. Did you finally express those things to him after he passed?
It's funny. I feel like I've made peace with everything I felt, but whether or not I've actually articulated that, it's funny. I feel like he's trying to reach out because in the last probably 12 months, I see his favorite number everywhere. Interesting.
So it might be time to sit down and write a letter to him.
Right.
And just express to him everything that you were feeling at that time, everything you feel now. And it's just something that you can write down on a piece of paper and he can read it. He can see and feel what you're expressing. Mm-hmm. And they're saying to me that it's not that he doesn't already know, because he does now that he's in spirit. He knows. It's just that you need to know and you need to get it out and be able to have it out there in black and white to be able to release it from your energy field because you're still holding on to it.
Right. Okay.
All right. So angels, in regards to her heart chakra, with her knowing these particular past lives and her trajectory with her ex-husband, is this something that has cleared that portion of the heart chakra? Once she writes the letter and once she releases the soul contracts between her and him, then yes, it will be cleared. Okay. So are there soul contracts that are unresolved from the previous lifetimes? There are. Okay. All right. So we'll clear those. Do we clear those now? No, we'll clear those at the end. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Because there are a couple of other soul contracts they want us to clear as well. Okay. Got it. Do you have any other questions about that?
So once I write the letter and clear myself of that, that's the end of our soul contract?
We're going to clear the soul contract today in the session. Mm-hmm. So that'll be the end of the soul contract. But when you write the letter, that's more just releasing all of the energy that is still kind of stuck in your energy field from the experience.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So then let's see where we need to go next. All right. Solar plexus. There's one lifetime that we need to look at. That's the major lifetime for your solar plexus. And then it will start to unravel and clear that energy on its own. Okay. We did tap into it a little bit in that previous lifetime. Your feelings of powerlessness, the feelings of not having options, not being able to go anywhere, do anything. Okay. This goes back pretty far. Yeah. That's why it's so severe. Okay. All right. I'm hearing that this goes back like 70 lifetimes. All right. So what happened during this lifetime that had such a huge, profound effect for so many lifetimes? There's some context that you need to know initially before we dive into that particular lifetime. Her chakras specifically operate slightly differently than other people's chakras. It's part of the reason why we were showing them to you in a different way than we normally do. Her chakras not only hold the energy of her energy system, but they are also vortices in and of themselves for other souls. Okay. So we're going to get into that with her soul purpose. Yes. Okay. So the fact that her solar plexus is a vortex isn't the problem. Correct. Okay. So that's her natural state of her vortex. Yes. Okay. So that's not necessarily the problem. It's the energy that is surrounding it. That's the problem. That is correct. Okay. Got it. All right. Do you want to show us the soul purpose now before we dive into this other lifetime? No, we're going to show you the other lifetime, but there are elements of her soul purpose in here. So we will be getting both bits of information. Okay. Got it. The first thing I'm seeing is that you are incarnated as a woman in this lifetime. It's a more ancient lifetime, and I'm seeing spirits or energies pass through you. And each time an energy passes through you, you're literally like forced to the ground, and you can feel it. You can feel it in each one of your chakras. So like you can feel it in your heart chakra. You can feel it in your solar plexus. You can feel it everywhere as these energies are going through you. You didn't understand what was happening though at the time. You just thought that your body was sort of feeble and that you had a tendency to collapse a lot. Like you had a tendency to faint and fall over and that kind of thing. Like you just thought that you just had a weak body in that lifetime, and that wasn't the case. Why was it so extreme in this lifetime, please? She was living in a particular place where there was a large population. There were a lot of people surrounding her and wanting her help. In that particular lifetime, she opened her channel. She was able to channel from the divine. She was a verbal channel as well as an energetic channel. And that is something that is part of her ability now. Channeling is something that she has always done quite naturally. She would channel messages for people. And as she would channel the messages for them, they would ask her for her help. People would tug on her robes. They would cling to her body, begging for help. And whenever they were in her energy field, they felt better. It was almost like she healed them. And this was due to the chakra system that she has. This is due to the energy field that she has. It inherently makes people feel better when she's around them. And then the second they leave her energy field, they feel worse. And so people tried to be in your presence as often as possible because they felt better in your presence. But it exhausted you because you were transmuting all of these energies of all of these people that were in your field. Okay, angels, can you kind of give me an idea of what you're showing me here? Because I've seen before where people have vortices as chakras. I've seen that before, but I don't understand what she is doing with them, like what her energy system does with them. Can you give us a little bit more information on that? She is a closed circuit, if you will. She receives the divine source energy from her crown chakra as a channel. It exudes from her entire energy being, almost like a giant hug or almost like a warm energy that envelops all who are near her. And in turn, this energy clears whatever is around her and transmutes it through the vortices within her chakra system. It is a closed system of being able to constantly clear her energy whenever she is in the presence of others. This is by design because the type of soul that she is cannot live with negative energies, lower energies around her energy field. Because of the sensitivity of her chakra system and the sensitivity of her energy field in her soul, she requires there to be constant clearing. And so whenever she's around the really low energies, it's like the constant clearing through the vortices exhausts her. Correct. Okay. Yeah. So I'm hearing you say in this past life, I can't help them. Why can't I help them? And it's almost like these people got addicted to you and your energy. And all you wanted to do was help these people, but then you also wanted them to stop hanging on to your energy. It was almost like kind of a guru situation. You had this knowledge that everybody else wanted. You had this ability to heal and change, transmute energy, and everybody recognized it and they wanted it from you. You also didn't know how to empower others to do it for themselves. All right. So is there anything else we need to know about this particular lifetime? No, not at this time. Okay. In that previous lifetime, what you needed to do was draw your boundaries. You needed to cut people off from your energy. You needed to be able to say, I want to help you, but I can't help you if you're not helping yourselves. And so that self-empowerment, that self-worth, that I am not going to be used as a battery for all of you, because they were just draining your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So why that sort of stuck around for so long in your solar plexus is because you were chasing the idea that you needed to help everyone, that you needed to help others, that this was your mission, this was your job, this is what you are here to do. And although that is the case, you were doing it in the shadow. You were using it as a tool of ego in saying that I am the only one who can help these people, when in fact, your ability to help them was in your ability to show them how to do it themselves. And had you done that, you would have been able to release their energy from yours. And so this has been a theme for many, many, many lifetimes. So they're showing me the lifetime where you were with your ex-husband, the first one we looked at. And this is the reason why you have the not being able to speak your vulnerability and speak up, because in that lifetime, it was a lesson that you were sort of connecting to from these previous lifetimes. We're like, okay, I'm not going to help him. He needs to help himself.
Yeah.
It was that kind of energy. So it's not a bad thing. It was really good on that trajectory of not allowing people to use you as a battery. But it was also just one side of it. It was just one piece of it. So instead of just saying, I have to put up my boundaries and that's it, the whole picture is I am putting up my boundaries and I'm going to be vulnerable with you and tell you why I need to put up these boundaries.
Right.
That's the whole picture. That's the whole picture of being connected to somebody, to be vulnerable, to show somebody the way without doing the work for them, to disentangle from codependency, to stepping into unconditional love.
Yeah.
And that has been your journey.
Yeah, that feels like it.
Is there anything else we need to know about that previous life? We do not. Okay. All right. So we're going to dive into more of your soul purpose. I'm going to pause here, though. Do you have any other questions regarding everything we just covered?
I see so many similarities and parallels, and it feels like it's, as you said, from a really, really past life all the way through. And the theme, I feel the theme even now of, people always have, even when I was a child, come to me to share their problem and tell me their story and what am I supposed to do with that? And I think in this life, I've always thought, well, my problems don't seem that massive because everyone else speaks a lot about their problems and it sounds awful. And I'm not going to talk about mine because theirs seems so much more important.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the thing is that part of that has to do with the fact that because your energy is sort of a closed circuit and you're able to clear your own energy, you don't necessarily have as extreme of situations that a lot of other people might. Extreme situations and energy are usually brought on by not only your own energy, but then also the collective energy, by energy of people that you're around. It has a tendency to compound itself as you see that most people are going to be a mirror to what you're experiencing in your energy field. It's going to compound things and compound things and compound things until you finally take a look at yourself and say, yeah, this is my energy field that is being reflected back at me. This is the work that I need to do, right? You don't necessarily need to do that level of work, but the level of work that you do need to do on a regular basis is the discernment of what is yours and what isn't. Because although you are efficient at clearing out energies, if you have a whole bunch of energies coming at you all at the same time, it's going to take a little bit for those to be cleared. So you might feel instantly anxious about something and you have no idea why you're anxious about it. Well, if it comes on that quickly, typically that's going to say that it's probably not your energy.
Okay.
They're saying to me that with a caveat. So if it comes on quickly, it is likely not your energy. Also, if it goes quickly and there's no aha moment, there's no lesson in it, there's no anything in it, then you know that it's not your energy.
Right.
The reason I was asking for the clarification, because I've gone through that myself where like, I'm totally fine, everything's great. And then some eclipse happens. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, boom, I'm in it. And then at the end of it, I'm like, that's what I was clearing. Okay, cool. I know where that came from. So even though that was sudden, I know that it was my energy because at the end there was that realization, that moment of like, okay, that was what I was clearing. That's what happened. Okay, cool. I can let that go and release it. If you don't have that moment after the immediate emotion or feeling, then chances are it's probably somebody else's that you're holding on to.
It also explains why so many people tell me, I've had heaps of people tell me I'm a teacher, had heaps of people that are I think more intuitive than me and have experienced the type of clairs, say, I see you as like a glowing goddess or a princess or things like this. And I'm like, what? Yeah, okay. My sister's talented. She sees people's auras just looking at you. She can see you walking down the street with your aura hanging out. And my mum thinks she's somewhat a medical medium.
Oh, cool.
But she doesn't take that on board and do anything with it. She'll just tune in occasionally.
Yeah.
And she says that a lot about me. She's always seen me in this kind of ethereal background thing. I'm like, okay.
And you know what? That can be a lot to take in. sometimes. Like when somebody is able to see who you really are on a soul level and describe it to you, sometimes it can be a lot.
Yeah.
And the way that I like to help to ground that and maybe bring it down to earth a little bit is understanding that everybody has that beauty and that glowing light and that gorgeous soul, right?
Yeah.
It's just everybody's soul has a different energy signature. It has a different way of operating. And for you, because you are self-cleaning, so to speak, you have a self-transmutation going on. Your energy is probably more clear most of the time than most. Any energy worker who is able to see your aura or see your energy field would see it in a much clearer fashion than, let's say, somebody who's walking around with a whole lot of psychic debris that they haven't cleared yet. Your sister might look at somebody walking down the street and their aura is like dark or gray or something like that. It doesn't mean that that person is any less bright or brilliant than you. It just means that they don't have the abilities that you do to clear the energy from themselves on a regular basis.
Yeah, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the rest of your soul purpose to see what it is you are here to do. They're correcting me. They're saying what you are here to be. Okay. That's a very interesting clue. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So do we need to look at any other past lives to get context? Yes. Okay, great. So the reason why they were saying you're here to be is I'm hearing that you're most likely not going to be doing something physically in the spiritual, meaning that when you take the energetic aspects of people, that's having to do with energy fields, Reiki, working with vortices, working with energy vortices on the planet, working with those things that are unseen. The reason why they said that what you are meant to be instead of do, it is a little bit of a hint in the trajectory of what you are going to be stepping into.
Right.
So I don't see you necessarily, let's say, giving tarot card readings or doing astrology. Those are like doing things, right? Not to say that they're not intuitive, but they include a practical three-dimensional thing that you do in real life in addition to the intuition, right? Like I don't see that's part of your trajectory.
I'll leave that to my mom. She does that.
Beautiful. And also because they said that you're a natural channel, I'm going to say it has been in my experience personally that through the channel that I express does not allow for me to retain the information in my brain. I basically let go of the information as quickly as it comes in. And in order to do things like astrology and tarot and those kinds of things, you have to have your logical brain sort of intact and aware as you're doing those things. And it's the joke I always make that whenever somebody tells me something about astrology, it literally goes in one ear and like falls out the other. I can't hold on to the information. It's just, that's not how I'm built. That's not how I operate. It's very much the same for you. Like you're not meant to hold on to anything. You're meant to let the information come through you and let it go. Come through you and let it go. Like that's just how your energy system is built.
Okay.
They're wanting to go back into that lifetime where you were trying to be a writer. So I'm seeing the stories that you wrote. And you were writing fiction type stories, but they all had this beautiful lesson of how to be nicer to each other, how to treat people, how to get through challenges. It was very much like a teaching type story, learning lessons, that type of thing, but through fiction and through fantasy. And the way that you expressed your creativity and your writing was colorful. It was beautiful. You liked using really flowery words, like finding the most flowery word you could find was like your biggest joy. That makes sense. Because oftentimes when we can find words that people don't necessarily know the meaning of, it gets them out of their brain. So if you don't know the word, you basically feel into the energy or the context of the word without having a preconceived notion of what the word means.
Yeah.
And so you liked to play with that, like play with that idea of having the context or the energy of what you're saying versus just writing it out plainly for everybody to read and understand. And then that's it, right? You wanted interpretation. You wanted different nuance of what people would take from it. Yeah. Oh, wow. And that's something that you're really, really good at. And sometimes it's tough. Yeah. So they're showing me one of my mentors that I worked with when I was going through my initial big dark night of the soul. And I was speaking to a couple of other spiritual people who were helping me through it. One of them, it was a couple, and one of them, he started speaking to me. I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was saying words and I'm like, it sounds like you're talking in circles. I have no idea what you're saying to me, but I didn't need to because I understood the resonance of the words that he was saying and what he was trying to convey to me. So there are times when that is necessary to literally break our logical brain. So it basically short circuits and we're like, I don't know what's happening. So you can relax into the feeling of what is happening as opposed to really following the words and trying to understand it logically. That's something you are really, really good at, is breaking people's brains into letting go and feel into the energy of what is happening versus listening to the words that are happening. That's another reason why you do have a hard time expressing yourself in your authenticity, because in the past, when you've done that, people are like, I don't understand what you're saying. If it didn't get them out of their brain and they weren't feeling into the words, then they would just literally just be like, okay, I don't know what she's doing, but I got to go over here. I don't understand. You are a messenger and you need to trust that. You need to trust the messages that are coming through. You know, it's interesting because you're saying, well, I'm not getting any messages that are not coming through. I haven't gotten anything yet. Have you tried automatic writing yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I'm going to suggest that you do a little bit of that first. I'm sure there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there that you can watch that will help you to get started in that. I do teach this in my workshop, but I will give you just a brief overview of what I tell the people in my workshop is that try to start with 1 or 2 words. If you're just in your meditative state, start with a meditative state. And then let's say you get the word I. Okay, write that down on the paper. And then the next word that comes in, I am. Okay, write down that next word. And then it might just come in a staccato fashion initially where you just might get a bunch of words and that's fine. And just start playing with how it feels to receive those words, whether it feels like it's actually just coming from your brain or you feel like it is coming from the divine. And then practice it and see what happens. And typically the first couple of times you try it, you're only going to get a few words or maybe a couple of sentences. You're not going to get a whole thing. But when you think about how people channel, writers channel all the time, musicians channel all the time, people channel all the time, and they don't even realize they're doing it. The way that we are going about doing this in terms of the automatic writing for you is you may have already been channeling in your life without realizing you're doing it. Now you just have to identify how to do it consciously, how to identify, I want to set the intention that I'm going to channel information now versus unconsciously just doing it and not realize that it's a channel. And the reason why we like to do that is because it allows us to know when we're in the channel and when we're not. For me, when I came into the channel, I had been doing automatic writing for quite some time. And then I started doing the sessions and the channel just came through my voice automatically. It just came. And I find it much, much easier now to channel verbally than I do with automatic writing.
Yeah.
So that may be the case for you as well, but you do have to practice with your voice. You have to practice expressing yourself with your voice and not worrying about what is coming out and understanding that the words that come out are the words that are meant to come out.
And that leads into the surrender piece. That was another part of it, that it's very difficult for me just to surrender to what is and to be comfortable enough expressing myself. And I always thought I was go with the flow person, but I'm so not. I've got to be all locked down and control everything and make sure everything's just right, including me. So yeah, letting go and surrendering to whatever is going to happen is a challenge.
Yeah. Part of the reason why that's happening is because in that previous lifetime that we looked at, that was 70 lifetimes ago, you had almost no boundaries. So it just kind of became a mess. And so over the course of time, you figured out how to arrange things so you could have boundaries and you could have structure, even if you didn't trust yourself to do it.
Right.
Control, oftentimes, is the fear of not being able to hold the boundaries yourself. If you are able to hold the boundaries yourself and know what is okay and what is not okay in your experience, then you can start to release control, let go, and go with the flow. There is also an element there of trusting in your guides in the divine, in the universe. And they're saying to me that the trust in the divine starts with the trust within you because you are the divine.
Right.
Did you grow up in any particular religion in this lifetime?
No. Oh, well, born Catholic, but none of us were practicing.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that was by design because in the past, in some of your past lives, you did have a tendency to give away your power to a higher power, so to speak. You gave away your power to religion in a couple of different lifetimes. I'm seeing in one lifetime, you're saying, I did everything you asked me to. Like, why are things still horrible? Why are things in my life not working out? And the problem was in that lifetime is that you were doing all of the man-made religion things. You were not doing the things that were aligned for your soul. You were just doing the things that, let's say, the church had told you to do. Okay, well, fast on Fridays or do this or do that and say 3 Hail Marys and you'll be good. It's kind of like this ritual that didn't align for you. And there's nothing wrong with ritual. Ritual is great. But if it is somebody else's ritual for some other purpose and it doesn't align with you, then of course it's not going to work. It's not going to have any sort of resonance for you. And I'm hearing your soul say, yeah, I was kind of done with that after several lifetimes.
Right.
This lifetime, you needed to be incarnated in a family that was Catholic because of the reminder of where you've been.
Okay.
So you could say, I remember that. I'm not going down that path again.
Right.
Like, I remember that whole thing. Got it. Cool. Okay. Thanks for the reminder. We're moving forward.
Right.
And oftentimes that is the case when in our current lifetime, we have an experience in our childhood that is brief or that is just for the first few years. Most of the time, that is just a little echo or a little reminder. Hey, remember, this is what you were working on before. You don't want to go down this path again. And that's what it tells you. All right. So what else do we need to know about her soul purpose, please? They're showing me you're standing in this beautiful bubble of light and you've got a channel of light coming in through the top of your head. And it's almost like you're beaming this energy to everyone around you. And you're just saying, remember, 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 remember. You're here to wake people up. And every single lifetime you've been incarnated on this planet has been to wake people up.
Has it worked?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you've done a really good job of it. The shadow side of what you do is that it's not your responsibility how they wake up and in what timing. So you give them the experiences they need to go to that next level. But let's say that next level is to go from somebody who is betraying their partner, let's say, somebody who is cheating on their partner, and you wake them up to realize that they're just really, really unhappy. And so maybe that next step for them is to be alone and be sad and depressed and not know what to do with their life. And you look at that and you're like, I didn't make that person's life better. Like, I made it worse actually by showing them where they needed to go. But in fact, that's part of the process, right?
Right.
The reason why somebody would betray their partner or cheat on them or something like that has to do with what is going on within them. It doesn't have anything to do with the other person. It has to do with how they are handling their own energy within themselves and what they are looking for. Are they communicating? Are they not? Is the other person a mirror for all of the wounding that they have? Like all kinds of dynamics that can happen. And you are the energy that shines the light on those things for the next step that they need to take.
Right.
That also speaks to a little bit of your frustration because you show people the next step to take, but then you feel like you yourself don't have that ability to know the next step to take for yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Your guides are telling me that you don't have to try. The next step will be revealed to you along the way. If there is a door that you need to push through, you'll feel it. You'll know.
Okay.
And they're saying the way that you'll know is the excitement you feel. The excitement that you feel that like once this barrier is down, I know I'm going to be able to do this thing, or I know I'm going to be able to experience this thing. So if you feel excitement for getting through something, even if it might be challenging, but you know when you go through it, you'll be fine. If you feel frustrated, disempowered, angry, sad, that's an indication that it's not the door for you.
Right. Okay.
Can you give me an example of something in your life right now that you feel stuck in, that you want to sort of move forward in and you don't know how?
Yeah, I guess I've lately been feeling dispassionate. Like I don't get excited about anything. It's just like, oh yeah, everything's good, but nothing really goes, oh yeah, wow, let's do that. I feel like I've stopped.
Does this have to do more with three-dimensional things in life?
Yeah, I guess it does in a way. because I've always sort of felt like, as you say, I just move through things. I learn things and let it go, learn things, let it go. And that process is enjoyable. I've never really I latched onto a few things. I got, oh, this is the thing, and then let it go. But yeah, in the last 18 months, 2 years, I've kind of just floated around, not really knowing what's next, but also being content, not totally content, but just content where I am doing what I do. Yeah, I feel kind of.
What are you doing at the moment?
What I do is help run our business and help run our family. Yeah, just, I don't know. I don't do, it's a funny question. I don't do anything. I don't have a job description, as it were.
Well, now you can answer that question. I just am. I sit in my being, and that's all I do.
I'm here to wake you up. Would you like to be woken up?
Oh, that's amazing. I love it.
Step into my vortex.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I love that. Let me ask the guides like what they can give us in terms of action steps for you to sort of step more into the things that are joyous, the things that are helpful for you to find the things that are fulfilling for you.
That would be nice.
What it's showing you right now is that the key to your joy and excitement is your vulnerability.
The ultimate challenge.
Yeah. What you're looking for is a deeper connection with others. That is where you're going to find your joy and excitement and happiness. And right now, because of who you are as a soul, you have kind of put this boundary up, so to speak. And so they want you to trust yourself in the decisions you make, in the discernment you have for the people that you have in your life at this time. And I want you to write down maybe the people that you know you could be vulnerable with and start practicing it. And the more you are vulnerable with the people that are around you, the more opportunities are going to open up.
I know we don't have much time left, but I was hoping to touch on my dad and anything I need to clear.
We do need to clear those soul contracts. So we're going to go into the sacred space and we'll clear that and we'll take a look at your dad as well. So I would like you to imagine that you're standing in a field of grass and flowers, and surrounding you is a circle of trees. And the circle of trees is offering divine light protection. And before you, there appears a door. And this is the door to your sacred space. And I would like you to open the door and walk inside. This is your sacred space. It is where your Akashic records are held. It can look any way you choose. In the center of the space, there is a book sitting on a pedestal. And I would like you to approach the book and open it to a blank page. And then I'm going to ask your ex-husband to be with you in this space. And I'm going to ask for him to sign the Akashic records, releasing you and him from any and all soul contracts from this and every other lifetime. And then I would like you to sign your own Akashic records, sign the book, rescinding and removing any and all soul contracts between you and him from this and every other lifetime. And if he has any messages he wants to give to you, he can give those to you now. One of the things he's saying to me also is that he's like, I did love you, even if you didn't believe it. Were you able to get any other messages from him?
No, it was kind of an image of us clicking our pens together and going, all right, bye now.
Bye.
We're done.
Nice. Very nice. Awesome. All right. So then let's take a look at your father. All right. Do they have any soul contracts together? They do. Okay. Are they still active? They are. Okay. Is your dad still with us?
Just.
Okay. Yeah. Just barely. Okay.
Well, who knows? He's stubborn, so he may hang around.
Yeah. My dad was the same. He kept on sticking around. I think my angels had told me he was supposed to go like 3 years before he did. His own free will was like, nope, I'm not going.
Yep.
That can happen, certainly. Okay, so do they have past lives together? They do. But the past lives are not something we necessarily need to cover today. What needs to be addressed is the soul contract he has for her that he has not yet completed. And she has completed the soul contract for him. She has done the job that she meant to do in his life. He has not completed the soul contract for her. Okay. So can we clear that soul contract now? We can, yes. Okay. All right. What was the soul contract that he did not complete for her? He was supposed to create a safe space for you. Like they're showing him to me, like almost like cupping you in his hands. Like he was supposed to protect you. He was supposed to be your guardian, so to speak, in this lifetime. He got lost really early on.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. What was interesting that happened is that the reason why he lost his way is because he saw your light in this lifetime after you were born. And he was like, oh, she doesn't need me. She's good on her own. I don't need to protect her. She's fine. when in fact you really did need his protection. Just the type of soul that he is, he's a warrior soul. And warrior souls are really good at like sort of standing guard and being that discerning energy for innocents who can't discern for themselves when they're children, right? And so he was supposed to sort of like stand guard. I'm hearing the word sentinel. He was supposed to be a sentinel for you. He saw how bright and amazing your energy was. He's like, yeah, you don't need me. I'm good. And so he just kind of went off and did his own thing. And you were kind of left going, okay, you were supposed to do this for me, but I guess you're not going to. So cool. Does that resonates with you?
Oh, yeah. So I have daddy issues. Daddy didn't love me enough.
What was interesting is that he was intimidated by your energy. It was almost like it was hard for him to be in your energy because your energy is so bright and so big that it shined a light on the corners of his energy field that he didn't want to see.
Right. That makes sense.
That was the side effect that you hadn't anticipated in this lifetime, was that your natural job, so to speak, as a soul, which is to help people take that next step and go to the next level, it shines a light on the places where maybe you don't want to see.
Right.
And so that kind of did that immediately for him. And so it was kind of two things. You shined a light on things he didn't want to see. And so he's like, ooh, that's so bright. I want to be a little bit further away from that. That's too bright. And then on top of it, he's like, oh, well, look, she's bright enough on her own. She doesn't need me. So it was almost like an excuse to not be in your energy because he was afraid to face his own.
Right. Yeah, that fits. Interesting.
He's going to try to be of help, though, once he crosses over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's soon. But as I said, he's stubborn. And funny that you said, I've finished my contract with him, but he's not finished mine. It kind of explains why this whole process of maybe him passing soon or, I don't know, soonish, whatever, I'm okay with. Like I mean, we were estranged very much, but no bad blood or anything. But yeah, I'm kind of going, okay, well, I'll help you do whatever's necessary here and now, and that'll be okay, and I'll handle it, and it's fine. Off you go. Or not.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, and it's interesting because like you have this general knowing in your energy and in your human self that this life isn't the end.
Right.
You have a very matter-of-fact way of looking at death.
I do.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. It really is, because you're just like, okay, you're just transitioning into another energy. And with your father, actually, quite frankly, you're going to be doing quite a bit of healing with him when he does cross over. Like the healing is going to be really beautiful because it's so much easier to work with them after they cross over.
Yeah.
Especially if you've had challenges. So you'll be able to work with him. They're saying that like he will, in his crossed over existence, when he comes back into his soul after he does his life review and everything else, he will be able to be that sentinel for you.
Right. Nice. That'll be good. We'll have a chat then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
So we're going to clear that soul contract. All right. So I'm going to ask your father to stand forward in this sacred space and sign the Akashic Records, releasing you both from your soul contract. I'm just hearing him say, yeah, I don't know what happened. It did, but sorry. All right. And so then I would like you to sign your Akashic Records, releasing you from the soul contract with your father. It is complete. All right. Wonderful.
And I feel like with my current husband, he's just like, I feel like he's a soul that's just been always there. And we have this kind of, we're cross paths, not cross paths, like just weaving in and out of each other's lives. And it just feels like a really nice place to be, even though it has its challenges, let's face it.
The challenges they're saying are mostly human challenges.
Yeah.
He's known you for a long, long time. Is he part of her soul family? He is. Okay. So yeah, you've known each other for a really long time. You were always slated to be together in this lifetime, but it is extra sweet because of your father dropping the ball.
Yes.
So he is your protector, though.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. They're saying not as a warrior, but as a nurturing energy, he protects you. Like warrior energies have a tendency to feel a bit cold or maybe a little detached, whereas that's not his energy. His energy is protective, but nurturing at the same time. And in quiet ways too, like I'm hearing him say, like, you don't even know half the things that I do to keep you safe and protected. Like he won't even talk about them. He won't brag about them or anything. He just does them. He just does these things to keep you happy and safe and protected. And like, it's almost like you're unaware that he's even doing half these things.
That rings true.
Yeah. If you decide to book another session, we can certainly go into some of the past lives that you've had together. I feel like that would just be sort of more of a curiosity because I don't think there's anything specifically that you need to work on together right now. There might be a few places in the 3D life that we can take a look at, but I don't see that there's anything really from any past lives that you need to really work through. He really is here just to support you and vice versa.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like that.
You're welcome. All right. So we are going to close the Akashic Records. Thank you so much to Akula, my Akashic guide. Thank you to Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon for guiding us through the records today. The records are closed. The records are closed. The records are closed. Thank you. All right. So then I would like you to imagine that you are stepping out of that sacred space and you're going to close the door behind you, keeping that space nice and protected. And you're going to step out into that grassy field of flowers and trees. And imagine that you have a divine light coming in through the top of your head, clearing and cleansing any energy that does not belong to you. And I want you to take one more deep breath. So inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. So inhale and exhale. Okay, how do you feel?
That was fun. I'm not as tired as I was earlier.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So if you do find that you're buzzing with energy, you said you're really good at grounding. So just make sure you're grounding and drink a lot of water over the next 48 hours or so.
Okay.
And yeah, let me know how you're doing. Okay.
Fantastic. I will. Thank you so much. This has been really fun.
You're so welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
I'm sending a ton of gratitude out to Cynthia for allowing me to record her session for the podcast. Soul contracts are an incredibly important part of our journey here on Earth. We have soul contracts with multiple people throughout a lifetime, maybe even hundreds of people throughout a lifetime. Soul contracts can shape what our experience is with others. It can shape how we show up for others. If you find yourself showing up in an energy with somebody that feels incongruous to how you would normally act, respond, be, chances are that has something to do with the soul contract that you have with that person, the role you are meant to play with that person, and how you are meant to help each other. Now, you might ask, is every soul contract helpful? And I will say yes, absolutely. Every single soul contract is helpful. Now, that does not necessarily mean that the person that you have the soul contract with will show up in beautiful, nice, amazing energy and will be super helpful. No, they may show up and be in contrasting energy. They may show up and be the villain in your story, but that is still helpful and they're still playing a role to get you to learn a certain lesson or to get to a certain level of energetic frequency. Not all soul contracts are fulfilled, as you heard in the session today. With Cynthia's father, he did not uphold his end of the bargain. Now, this can happen on occasion because of our free will, because of what happens when we finally get into these bodies and there is wounding. There are outside factors. There are all kinds of things that can happen that can veer us off course. And for her father, it was his feeling of incompetence in terms of who he was in comparison to her. He saw her light and how bright and shining she was and just decided that she didn't need him. It's a really good example of how a soul contract can sort of go awry. When you have a soul contract with somebody, it is always reciprocal. You're going to be doing something for them. They're going to be doing something for you. That is the law of energetic balance. Now, whether or not it actually comes to fruition where both of you fulfill the soul contract in a particular lifetime, obviously that depends on the circumstances. If you do not fulfill a soul contract together, then it is definitely to your benefit to clear that soul contract if it is possible. And the reason why it's beneficial is simply because once you have the energy of that contract active in your energy field in the 3D, then the remnants of that contract will remain. You can cross over, be in your soul planning meeting for the next lifetime, and you can make different soul contracts, certainly. And then what you're going to do is you're going to see the psychic debris of the previous soul contract still active in the energy field of the three-dimensional being that you will incarnate in. And that always follows you no matter where you decide to incarnate on this planet. You will always sort of put your energetic coat back on of all of your previous incarnations, all of the lessons, all of the things that you've experienced, as well as the soul contracts, as well as the vows, and also curses. And so there's not a whole lot that you can do from your soul planning meeting to clear that out, because it is an energetic imprint for your three-dimensional human to remember, recall, and to clear. Now, you might ask why that is the case. Like, why couldn't you just clear that soul contract from your soul perspective? And the answer is you can. It is possible. The lessons that you need to learn as a human and the reason why you're here on Earth would then be sort of nullified, or the goal that you've been working towards would be sort of nullified. It would be like making progress on a particular project and then starting from scratch. And that's not something that most souls want to do, because they want to be able to move forward. They don't want to necessarily start again, unless they do decide to hit the reset button, which some souls will decide to do that. But that is only in really extreme circumstances where it is nearly impossible to go back and still continue to evolve and learn. There are soul contracts that are beneficial to us where we continue a soul contract over and over again with a particular individual. It is a reciprocal soul contract that is almost renewable. You might really decide that this particular soul and you have an amazing rapport together. You work really well together. You know you can accomplish great things together. In which case, even after a soul contract has been fulfilled in a particular lifetime, that soul contract will be renewable for each and every lifetime thereafter until you decide to end that soul contract. Those particular soul contracts, the ones that are renewable, if you will, those do have to be broken by the soul in the soul planning meeting. These types of soul contracts, though, are going to be, for the most part, people that you want to have in your life, people that you're happy to have in your life. It is likely not going to be somebody who you're thinking of right now that you really just want out of your life immediately. These are members of your soul family. They are members of your energetic collective, if you will. That doesn't always mean that this person is going to be the most loving person in your life, but it's going to be an energy that has an underlying element of love and respect. So even if there are challenging times, you do still understand, love, and respect this person and this soul. And you might find yourself giving them a lot more leeway than you would other people. So in the case of Cynthia and her father, where they have known each other for a very, very long time, and it was indicated that they have had hundreds of lives together. This particular soul contract was not a renewable soul contract. It was simply a soul contract that they had in this lifetime for him to be her sentinel, her guardian, and he failed at that job. When we release that soul contract, it does not necessarily mean that she cannot renew it. We release that soul contract for this particular lifetime. Now, when she goes into her soul planning meeting for the next life, if she decides to work with him again, that is her decision and that is his decision, whether or not he would like to take on that job. It will depend on many circumstances as to whether or not they decide to, but that is going to be their choice. If you have somebody in your life right now that is challenging for you and you're exhausted and you feel like there's really nowhere left to go with this particular connection, I do encourage you to take a look at it, maybe book a session and see if it's a soul contract that can be cleared. And if it can, you can start moving through that energy. Now, this brings me to the last part of soul contracts that I'm going to talk about for today, and that is the lingering energy of a soul contract. You can clear a soul contract and it will be completely done. The energy of that soul contract can remain. And what do I mean by that? I mean that there are elements of your experience that you have had with this person in this current lifetime that are still active in your energy field. So it's not necessarily the energy of the soul contract per se. It is more the energy of the experiences that you had with this person. So for example, with Cynthia and her father, she was really hurt that she felt like he was not present for her. He was not available for her. And she felt like she just really wanted to have a father that would be there for her, nurture her, protect her, love her. And she didn't feel like that was the experience that she had. Whatever feelings of abandonment or feelings of sadness or grief that she has regarding that experience with her father, those feelings can remain after the soul contract has been cleared, because then that is up to her to be able to work through those emotions on an energetic as well as a three-dimensional basis. That means clearing that energy out of your physical body, releasing that energy, working through the feelings that you have, working through the anger, the grief, the sadness, all of those things. Okay. You have to work through that energy regardless of whether or not the soul contract is active. It's just a lot easier to let it go once the soul contract is done. It's like you're not renewing the energy over and over and over again. I like to describe this as a faucet. Imagine you're standing under a faucet and the water is just pouring over your head and you're trying to dry yourself off, and you continue to try to dry yourself off, but the water is still pouring on your head. The second the faucet gets turned off, it becomes much easier to then dry yourself off. And that is the perfect analogy for how you clear your energy after a soul contract has been cleared. It is possible to finally make some progress in your healing. It's not to say that you can't make progress in your healing before the soul contract is up, because that's the whole purpose of a soul contract, right? It is to allow you to have the experiences that you need to have in order to learn and grow. What we're talking about here are the stagnant energies or the old energies that really don't belong in your energy field anymore, that really just need to go. It is much easier to go through this process and to work through this process when you have other practitioners, other people to help you with this. Trust me, I went through this many times over the course of my spiritual journey, and I still do ask for help on occasion when I do need to work through something. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask for help, because this is deep work that we do. This is a really big part of how we operate on this planet, and we don't have to do this alone, and you don't have to do this alone either. And that brings me to the timing of a reading. So let's say you do want to reach out to a practitioner and you want to get a session, whether it's an Akashic session with me, or whether it's an astrology session or numerology with, let's say, Ann Perry. You really do have to take a look at the timing of the session. And let me tell you why. If Cynthia had come to me prior to now, that soul contract with her father may have still been active. And essentially, we would not have been able to clear that soul contract. Now, is that a big deal? No, of course not, because we would have been able to cover other things, talk about other things, and clear other things. But for this particular purpose, the timing of this particular reading was important because of the fact that she really wanted to clear this soul contract between her and her father. Now, I'm not sure if her father has passed or not at this point, but this also will help him to cross over. With having this soul contract done, it does help him to cross over. Often when you're asking for the answer from your intuition, whether or not it is the right timing for a session, you will be in a state of, oh, well, I want to work on this, 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 and this. So you might already know exactly what you want to work on. However, your higher self and your soul might want to work on something completely different, and they may give you different timing. Go into your heart space and ask your heart if it is the right time to book a session with whoever you're going to book a session with, because timing does make a difference, and it does help to further your progress, or it could also hinder your progress. if you're getting a psychic reading, for example, and let's say you get a psychic reading that says that what you want is not coming to fruition and you're not on the right path and all of these things, and it gets to the point where you are really upset and sad, that energy or that reading could have just been that snapshot in this now moment. When if you would have waited, let's say 2 weeks to have that reading, maybe the reading would have completely changed. Maybe the energy would have shifted. Right now, I can tell you that there's a lot of energy going on that is very frenetic. I have a lot of clients that are reporting that they're having panic attacks and that things are really difficult right now energetically. And so when you have that particular period of time collectively, that can have a serious effect on whether or not you are able to receive information, whether or not the information will be beneficial to you. And often your guidance might just tell you now is a good time for rest. The time for getting information and readings might be at a later time, but right now it might be time just to take a bit of a break. Listen to your intuition. Cynthia listened to her intuition without even realizing that she was listening to it. She just kind of put off booking the reading. She put it off until the time felt right. And then she just did it. And I would encourage you to really check in and see what feels right for you. Another thing I want to touch on is the concept of boundaries and not trusting your own boundaries to the point of control. This is something that Cynthia and I talked about in the session where she didn't trust herself. She didn't trust herself to put up the boundaries that she needed to put up. And so as a result, she ends up trying to control everything in her environment. And I can certainly relate to this on a personal level because I have definitely done this in my past and even in my most recent past, where when I'm in a situation that I am incredibly uncomfortable in, let's say energetically, it's just not a good energetic space, or the people that I'm around are not a good energetic match. I feel like it's something that I can't control in the energy. And so what I end up trying to do is trying to control things in the physical in order to, let's say, feel better or have the illusion of drawing a boundary. Okay. And sometimes there are other ways that you can go about this. So for me, most recently, I was in a position where there were a lot of people that had a lot of negative energy. There was a lot of drama going on, and I could have just removed myself from the situation, but I didn't. And after having this experience, I realized that I definitely will in the future, that I will just remove myself from the situation and it will make things better for me. But I didn't really clock it at the time. I didn't clock that it was having that kind of an effect on me until I started trying to control my environment. And that's a good clue for me, is that when I'm trying to control my environment and I'm feeling restless and not aligned, that is a really good clue that, hey, maybe it's time to draw those boundaries. Now, when we put up those boundaries, do we trust ourselves to keep them? That's the other question. When you are able to keep your boundaries strong and you can be confident in your boundaries, you can move through life with ease. It's effortless because you know exactly what you deserve. You know exactly what you're willing to experience and what you're not. When you have that strength, it is because you have practiced it. You have practiced it over and over and over again. And so you have tested it. You've tested your strength, so to speak. When you're just brand new in setting those boundaries, it can feel like they're not as strong. It can feel like, oh, maybe I'm going to cave. Maybe I'm not going to make that decision. Maybe I'm going to do something different. And that's okay. Allow yourself to have those boundaries broken so then you can reinforce them again. The other thing is, obviously with boundaries, you have to be fluid in them in the sense that not every situation is the same. Not every situation is the last situation you were in. And so when you have a strong boundary, it doesn't mean being rigid. It means being able to understand what it is that is acceptable for you to experience in your life, in your energetic field, and what isn't? And what are you willing to compromise on? Where do you have that wiggle room? This is something that is important to work on as you go through this journey, because you're constantly changing your energetic frequency. So the boundaries that you have will shift and change with that. So there have been times when I have felt really, really raw. There have been times when I've felt just emotional or touchy, in which case those boundaries, when I'm around other energies that are, let's say, drama filled or negative, I need to draw a stronger boundary, because my person, my human self, is not able to handle as much as I would, let's say, if I wasn't in that vulnerable state. When I'm in that state, I do have to draw my strong boundaries. I have to say, no, thank you. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go home. I'm going to not be in this place. If I'm in a stronger energetic space where, let's say, there aren't so many collective energies coming at me, I'm not going through some big dark night of the soul, I'm actually doing pretty well at the moment, then that boundary is going to be a little bit different. That boundary is going to be a little bit more flexible, let's say. And let's say I could handle a little bit more. So let's take that exact same situation that I just experienced in the recent past. If I was in a better state emotionally and energetically at the time, would I have been able to handle it better? Yeah, I would have. And maybe I would have drawn that boundary sooner. Maybe I would have said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to change my scenario. I'm going to change the situation. Oftentimes when we feel low, sad, weak, raw, feel like we've been beat up by the universe time and time again, sometimes we can just feel like, oh, well, whatever. I'm just going to give up. I don't need to put up this boundary. I don't have the strength to. And sometimes that happens, and that's okay, because you'll do that for a time until it gets to be so hard that you have to put up that boundary again. Take a look at the places in your life where you have strong boundaries and where you have, let's say, weaker boundaries, and just write them down. Write down the places where you feel you're really strong and the places where you feel like you could do with some work. And you don't have to do anything with this list, but just write it down just so you're aware of it and see how you can make little incremental changes along the way. This is where going with the flow can be really, really important. One of the things that Cynthia was struggling with is that she didn't know when it was time to push through or go with the flow in terms of when she was feeling stuck, when she was feeling lost, feeling like every single door has been closed on her and that there is no other way out. There's no other path. There's an energetic nudging that happens when you know that the door is the right door. It may just not be the right time. There is an energetic nudging when it is the right door, but then maybe you need to push a little harder. Maybe you need to do something that you don't want to do, like move through some fears or move through some energetic blockages. There are times when those doors are closed because they're meant to be closed, because they are not for you. And how to know the difference between those three things? You can feel it. And the universe is really clear about it if you take a look at it. I know for me, when I have had people in my life and the universe is closing the door on that person, it's closed. Like, people have left my life in such a comical cartoon way, almost like a little sinkhole opened up in the ground and just like swallowed that person up. And then that was it. I never saw them again. That's literally how it's happened for me in my life. When I'm not meant to be in somebody's life or vice versa, they will just not be there. It'll be done. No more contact. You won't know where they went. You don't know what happened to them. And that's it. And that's happened to me with ex-boyfriends. It's happened to me with friends. And it's really bizarre. And like I said, almost comical when it happens because it is very abrupt. It's not going to always be that clear, but it is going to be something that you can recognize that, yeah, I can feel the energy of this is done. Whether it's a job, whether it's a place that you live, whether it's a house, or it doesn't matter what it is, you can feel the energy of it. When it's something that is an energy that you are meant to work through. There will be clues. There will be fear. There will be resistance, anxiousness, anger even. When you come across these emotions when it comes to a particular door that is closed, that might be an indication that that is something that you need to walk through, that you need to address. Well, why am I feeling these emotions when I'm presented with this situation? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to walk through that door again. It just means that maybe that door needs to be opened again. Once you work through that fear, that anger, that frustration, that resistance, whatever it is, once you work through that energy and that energy dissipates, that door might open again. And what might be behind that door might be something completely different than you think it will be. But that door needs to open regardless. And then there's the aspect of the right timing. And that is something that is, in my opinion, one of the hardest things, especially if you're an intuitive. Because when you're an intuitive, you know when certain things are meant for you. You know when you're meant to do something or meant to be with somebody or meant to have somebody in your life. And yet they're not there, or that job isn't there, or you're not living in that city yet. And it's because of timing, because things have not yet lined up. And you know, because you have tested the theory, you have, let's say, tested the waters, and it's just not ready yet. And that can be the most frustrating thing. But knowing and understanding that you can trust your intuition, you can trust what you're receiving, and know that that is the path that you are meant to be on. So in the meantime, what you can do is you can ask your angels and guides, okay, what is it that I am meant to do in the meantime while this other portion of my life is percolating, if you will? And your angels will help you. You will get the answers that you need in order to help you to prepare. Or maybe you're working on a different avenue of your life. Maybe you're focusing on something else entirely about your life. And that's what you need to do to pass the time, so to speak, until this next door is ready to be opened. It can be frustrating. And I understand that. I have been in this situation many, many times. I've been in all of these situations many times, and it can be frustrating when doors are closed. Just know that the right doors will open when it's the right time, when you have worked through some of those fears and lower energies, and when it is something that your soul knows is the best timeline for you. I want to thank you so much for joining me this week. It's been such a pleasure to connect with you. I look forward to connecting with you again next week for another new episode. If you've been enjoying this podcast, it would mean so much if you could like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform. And if you feel inspired, leaving a review is always appreciated. If you're following along on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode of the Akashic Recordings. Also, if you feel called to work with me personally, you can book a session at any time at infinitesoullove.com. Everything can be scheduled directly on my website. Thank you so much for your support, and I can't wait to connect with you again next week.